Welcome back to the channel, and today, Jack, let's get into Mariah May, or now known as Blake Monroe. Overall, I think personally, I'm going to jump quickly into this. Overall, I think the name suits Mariah May. It is a very elegant and glamorous name, which I think they did a really good job in picking the name, but I find this is the one thing with WWE that really annoys me is not allowing certain people to come with their established names and keep it. I understand why, but let's get into the name. Is it going to work for her? And overall fan reaction, because the internet has been a buzz since they dropped the new name for Blake Monroe, formerly known as Mariah May.
It's crazy because you kind of have to like the name if you're a fan of Mariah May because she picked the name.
Yes.
Like, this is fully her creative. This is the name I wanted. If I can't have my real name, this is the name I want. And for people even like such as yourself, who's a big Mariah May fan,
Yeah.
right? Like you even took time to think like, okay, I like this name. It suits her well. It's going to suit her gimmick well. It's going to suit the character.
Mm-hmm.
While a lot of people jumped online and said, I hate the name. Why does WWE have to ruin everything?
Yeah.
And then she was like, well, I picked the name. And they're like, oh, it's great. It's totally great. I love the name Blake Monroe. It suits you. It suits your character. So it's interesting to see a lot of people have backlash, like that initial backlash over it. And then all of a sudden they're like, no, I think this could work because it has to work because she likes the name, which means she's going to sink her teeth into the character that she's going to portray on TV, whether it's like a spitting image of what Mariah May was in AEW and on the indie market versus what she's going to be in NXT and eventually on the main roster.
Yeah, and her coming out, I think, really saved it, saying that she was the one that picked the name, or I think WWE was going to have a much bigger backlash than originally we saw coming out during NXT. It was one of the first times I jumped back on X just to see kind of what the conversation was happening. And obviously Mariah May was trending, Blake Monroe and NXT was trending across everything. And it's so funny if you watch it hour by hour, the shift in the conversation really changed once we got the information from Mariah May herself saying, no, this is the name I chose. And there's a nice little story behind it. Like, it's her niece's name, Blake's her niece's name, and they apparently have a very nice, close relationship, which is awesome. And she's able to carry that over into her work and help make herself and WWE multiple millions of dollars on merch sales when everything begins to drop and the brand of Blake Monroe begins to jump on that rocket. You know what I mean? My biggest struggle is we look at the likes of Jacob Fatu, who is had a very established name coming off the indies into WWE, and one of the rare ones that comes onto the main roster right away with his indie name. And next to Rikishi back in the 90s, he's the only person to actually carry the Fatu name, which is super cool. But I look at the likes of Mariah May, who was so well established over in Japan, so well established in the UK markets, established herself heavily in AEW, which I'm pretty sure Tony Khan offered her a bag to stay and would have gone on to do really good things over in the AEW side of things. But obviously WWE was always the dream for her. Why can we not, with someone as established as Mariah May, find a way to invest the dollars up front to buy the rights to that name and the catalog of what she has done as Mariah May and move into WWE like they did with Jacob Fatu?
The only thing I could truly think of, Steve, is that she made her biggest splash literally less than a year ago with her story with Tony Storm and in AEW. Not that WWE has ever touted AEW as serious competition, but like if you're looking at competition, like WWE and TNA work together. They're not really competition.
Yeah.
New Japan is so far off the market and they're doing work with AEW as well as Ring of Honor that like they're not really like looked at as competition, especially from a storytelling perspective. I think because Mariah May was so fresh and so popular in the one company that you could say, like, well, our top guy now made that company. One of our other top guys had a big falling out in that company a year and a half ago. Another one of our Hall of Famers is currently in that company. Another one of our former world champions. Like I'm talking about, the Cody Rhodeses, the CM Punks, the Adam Copelands, the John Moxleys, right? Like there's a lot of like synergy there between WWE and AEW, though they don't mention each other. I mean, WWE doesn't mention AEW. AEW mentions WWE every chance they get. But I think because it's so fresh, they didn't do it. Jacob Fatu was never in AEW. He was never in TNA. He was never like on camera in front of a mainstream wrestling audience that was like, oh, who's this guy, right? Like you had to be a wrestling fan to know who Jacob Fatu was. So when he came in, they touted Jacob Fatu. If Vince was there, I guarantee you his name would just be Fatu. They'd get rid of the Jacob, just like Antonio Cesaro, just like Austin Theory. Jacob Fatu would just be Fatu if Vince was still here. But we still get Jacob Fatu under the Paul Levesque regime. But to me, that's like the only reason why I think, like back in the day, Kevin Steen was probably the biggest independent wrestler on the scene when they signed him to NXT.
Yeah.
And it was different times. It was Vince's WWE, so he got the final call. I guarantee you if this happened this year and Kevin Steen joined the WWE, he'd be Kevin Steen.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have had to collaborate and think like, okay, like my son's Owen, Owen Hart's my idol, like Kevin Owens makes sense. Like they probably wouldn't have done that. I think it's a timing thing, and I think it's you just made your big mark in the company that we don't call our rival company, but like they really are. They're our competition.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting because Blake Monroe, I'm going to struggle with calling her Blake Monroe for quite a while, but Blake Monroe has tweeted out and put out on Instagram that she is going to be signing her WWE contract on NXT this Tuesday. And this is exciting because not a lot of mid-tier signings, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anyone that has been brought over from either AEW or the independent scenes, get this type of push right away. And the contract signing is always the first big thing. She got the glamour and the stage of the entire women's roster being out. Basically, the entire main focus of the women's roster in NXT were all out there demanding that JC Jane wear the next ones. So to put Mariah May up virtually on a pedestal to say, nah, like I'm the next champion, they're already showing what stock they're putting in Mariah May, kind of like they did with Stephanie Vaquer and Julia, but they did it in a way that these two are like a package deal, and they're going to be feuding, even though they're on separate brands right now, they're going to be feuding for the next decade between each other because they're so well established. My favorite thing now is they've just said Mariah May is the next big thing. Blake Monroe is the next big thing. In NXT, I don't see her in NXT for more than 6 to 8 months. She will be on the main roster. She is going to be in the Royal Rumble, guaranteed. I honestly feel bad for JC Jane because I can see Mariah May getting that NXT Women's Championship before even having a sniff at the Women's North American Championship.
I agree with you because especially with NXT on the women's side and on the men's side, you touched on some of the women, like some of the guys even back in the day, like when Adam Cole debuted attacking Drew McIntyre like 6-7 years ago, like immediate main push on the NXT programming. When Finn Balor came back, remember when he came back with like a buzz cut and he turned heel? Like immediate main event push on NXT. Like when you do stuff like that and you have a big surprise, a big debut, a big return, and she was literally verbatim on a pedestal during her promo. When we didn't even know what her name was going to be. Like they didn't even say it. They're like, oh my God, look who it is. Like they didn't say anything.
No.
They kind of just like let her talk without any commentary behind it. For her to be that over without actually having a name, and for like the amateur WWE viewer, like she is popular. Mariah May jumped the gun on the indie scene in AEW. But like if you're an average WWE follower, like you're like, who's this getting a big pop, right? And now you're gonna see Blake Monroe officially get that big push, and she's gonna have to take the ball and roll with it because we've seen stuff like this fizzle out in the past, man. Like we've seen people who get that main event push and just can't really do what they did before.
Yeah.
We talked about Shinsuke Nakamura last week.
Yep.
Great NXT superstar.
Yep.
Couldn't figure it out on the main roster for whatever reason. Like his style just like didn't click with the main audience. Blake Monroe, I don't think will have that problem. I
No.
think we're in an age where everybody knows who she is.
Yep.
Everybody loves what she's selling and is buying what she's selling.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see how they book her moving forward, but I could see her being NXT Women's Champion within the first few months. And you're right, she's going to be in the Rumble. Probably the Raw after WrestleMania, you'll see her debut on the main roster.
I think that's a perfect kind of timeline for her because it doesn't make her first look at a WrestleMania look rushed. We have so many talented women on the main roster right now that we don't need to rush a Blake Monroe into that main roster scene to the point where we have to force her onto WrestleMania. There is nothing. And I think a lot of people in the comment section of this video are going to be like, wow, these guys are really like marking out a little bit too hard on Mariah May and Blake Monroe. Just remember, a lot of the people that are going to come at us are going to be, no disrespect, major AEW fans that don't watch the WWE product. I watch both. I just cover WWE a lot more. And you guys have to remember, the biggest storyline to come out of AEW in a long time was Toni Storm and Mariah May, which almost carried through all of 2024 and made what all WWE fans were begging for from AEW a good story. And they got it in spades with what Mariah and Toni were able to do. This is why I'm so excited, because she's now got the mainstream knowledge with a big company to tell a good story. And that's the main thing coming into WWE that a lot of AEW wrestlers have not really had. Mariah's had it, as I said, in spades. And this is why I'm so excited, because there's opportunity right now, just in my mind, on the NXT roster. There's probably 3 or 4 great stories that you could build with Blake Monroe. You could have it Blake versus the entire roster, and the entire roster having an issue. When she gets to the main roster, who's the most glamorous? Is it Tiffany Stratton or is it Blake Monroe? You've got Charlotte Flair that she could go up against. Jade Cargill. Oh, we could do a run it back with an AEW feud. You know, the first big woman to step over the line from AEW to WWE is Jade. But now you have you could have an argument. What has Jade done? And then Blake Monroe just basically levels out. I've done more in WWE and I've been here a shorter time. There's a storyline for you right there. So it's very exciting to see a woman of her in-ring capabilities, her on the mic capabilities, to come in and literally have the WWE universe as the oyster for her, and be like, I'm just going to take it, because she's been given everything.
I look at her almost in the same light as Alexa Bliss from 2017, 2018, 2019.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think she's got the look, she's got the in-ring capabilities, and she's got the mic skills. And to me, like, she has that Alexa Bliss cockiness, confidence kind of thing going for her. Like, yeah, I see the rivalry between her and Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton isn't all the way there on the microphone yet, though. Like, she has her gimmick, like, she has her thing that makes her her. But I think Blake Monroe has the ability to captivate an audience with whatever she says, and she can say it with her mannerisms and her body language that gets people, again, like I said before, buying what she's selling.
Yeah, and it's a really cool... We're in a very cool era that we can almost forget where they've come from, but also you'll be able to see those similarities in what they've done if you've really done your homework on the likes of Blake Monroe. And to your point about the Alexa Bliss thing, a lot of people might not know this stat. Did you know up until Alexa's pregnancy, she had not missed a WrestleMania since being in WWE. She was in
Which is nuts because she's missed a whole hell of a lot of events since then, man.
Yeah, but
it's like night and day.
But she had one of the longest records. If she wasn't either wrestling, she was hosting, or if she wasn't hosting, she was in some form of entrance, like with Triple H. Everyone forgets the third man, basically, when it was like Charlotte and Sasha, but Alexa was there too. But she had like, I think it was like a 10-year streak of being on WrestleMania. And if this is kind of the opportunities that we're seeing certain women and certain wrestlers being given, I'm going to be shocked if we're not saying, and this might be a big shout, but I'm confident in it, that in the next 10 years with Mariah May, debating injuries or lifestyle changes, she could be the Roman of the women's division, main eventing countless WrestleManias. I'm going to say 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, and 50. That could be what we're seeing with Mariah May turning into Blake Monroe in the WWE, if this is the stock that WWE is showing that they want to give to her.
So you're basically saying she's the next Becky Lynch.
I think I'm...
Because up until this point, I know Sasha and Bianca Belair main evented night one back at WrestleMania 37, I think it was, in Tampa. But other than that, like, Becky Lynch is the one true, alongside Charlotte and Ronda Rousey, she's the one true women's main event in WWE WrestleMania history.
Yeah.
So to put Blake Monroe on that level and of that scale, like, if they didn't think you were a mark then, Steve, they know you're a mark now for Mariah May, because that's putting a lot of stock in someone. And we talked about it, like, the WWE is looking for that next person to take the ball, like Becky Lynch took the ball and ran with it. We were talking about Meechin getting opportunity after opportunity, but for whatever reason, something wasn't clicking, right?
Yeah.
Like, WWE is looking for that next woman to step up. It's been a long time, man.
Yeah.
And Blake Monroe has all the capabilities to take that ball and run with it.
What's that? You're a baseball guy. What's that saying about someone who has everything? When it comes
five-tool player.
I think that's what we have with Blake Monroe, and I am very heavily excited to see what she can do, because I followed her since Progress, back in the day. I'm excited. Yeah, call me a mark. It's not the worst thing I've been called in the world, but when it comes down to what we're potentially going to see with Mariah May, I really think we're in for something special with her career in the WWE, especially with what they assumingly have offered her on her contract. There's a lot of stock, and I think we do get what we need in, quote, the new Becky Lynch, because we really, we still have a lot in Jade Cargill and her growth. You're seeing it week after week after week with Jade Cargill, and that's not taking anything away from Jade, because honestly, Jade, I think, is in the main event of next year's WrestleMania and potentially the one after that. But it's like, who's going to be taking that spot potentially from Jade or the Tiffany Strattons of the world? And I think we have it right here. It's clear as day. It's like Obafemi. It's the same thing with Obafemi. Dominic Mysterio and Obafemi are going to be the ones, and Trick Williams are going to be the ones main eventing WrestleMania's 45 to 50. You know what I mean?
Don't forget about Braun Breaker, man.
Braun Breaker as well, and he's in a very good position right now, especially with Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins at the tutelage for him. We're in a good place in pro wrestling with the people that are kind of being lined up as the future main events. Like, I'm excited, and what we said about Blake Monroe might be a stretch. I don't think so, just because of the knowledge and seeing her career. But what's your overall final thought on that?
I think she has all the capabilities in the world. She has the mic skills. She has the in-ring skills. She already has the popularity, which is the hardest part. She's already got the influence. Yeah. Which tells me that she's going to have a major, major push right off the bat in NXT with Shawn Michaels kind of taking her under his wing. She's going to be, like you said, the person that everybody's going to be gunning for. Like, she's going to be public enemy number one, almost the same way CM Punk was when he first came back. Like, nobody liked CM Punk, right? At least storyline wise. Yeah. She might be that to the NXT women's division. Who knows? I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and it's kind of a breath of fresh air for the women's division in NXT.
Last question, and this is going to be for the comment section as well. Who's her first feud?
Oh, that's a good one. Um, I don't think she goes straight for the title. I think we build to that.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. You can go any way you want, really.
Yeah, I'm personally,
I don't know. Like
I
you could. I don't think there's like a clear cut favorite to say like she needs to feud with this person.
if I was to pick, I want to see her go against Lash. I think there's just something there because I think Lash is that staple of the women's division in NXT right now. But personally, just because she's a force, and I think Mariah has been given outside of WWE, a lot of the people that she's worked are similar in size to her, and similar in capabilities. Lash is a much bigger force, so I think it would be like, okay, show us what you really got. So
Yeah.
Lash Legend or Jordan Grace are my two.
I would love to see Jordan Grace too.
Yeah.
Those were actually the two names that came to mind were Jordan Grace and Lash because like you could really plug and play with whoever you want. It's just up to them. Who do they think is going to be more challenging? I
Yeah.
think that's what Shawn Michaels is probably thinking.
Yeah.
Who's going to challenge you the most right off the bat? Like we're not just going to ease you into this. Like you told one of the best stories we've ever seen in women's wrestling with Toni Storm. It wasn't in our company, but
Yeah.
it was with one of the greatest wrestlers in women's history, in Toni Storm, and with the gimmick that she's putting out right now is incredible. It's like
So good.
it's like the latest version of Toni Storm. We got stuff falling all over the place in our studio right now. Shelves are falling off the wall. But like Toni Storm, who she is right now, it's like her second or third act, right?
Yeah.
That we didn't think we were going to see. Kind of like what we're seeing with Ron Killings on the men's side, right? It's a new act, a new phase in his career. And she was able to partner that with an up and coming superstar like a Mariah May, and they gelled, man.
Yeah.
So like. Now she's got a gel with a Jordan Grace. She's got a gel with a Lash. Can she? We don't know yet, but we're going to find out.
We're definitely going to find out. All right, guys, that is it for this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and put the bell on for all notifications that are straight shoots. And we will see you tomorrow.